Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today is video number 9 in the series of Palo Alto firewall demonstrations. Today our focus is going to be blocking inappropriate web traffic with advanced URL filtering. Some of the objectives that we're going to cover is we're going to test inappropriate web content without URL blocking in place. Then we're going to create a security policy rule to block inappropriate web content using URL category. We're going to test the security policy rule to examine the results. We're then going to disable that security policy rule. Next, we'll create and apply a URL filtering profile to block access to malicious URL. And then we're going to test that security profile and examine the results. So if you've been following along up to this point, I greatly appreciate it. And let's begin. So the first thing we are going to do is we've already obviously logged into the firewall, and I've loaded um, the base config of this firewall. Said it again in each and every video. Uh, I don't have to start back from the beginning and set up the firewall and so forth. So that's good. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to generate some traffic without a security policy. So we're going to jump over to our policies real quick. Just see where we are. So we have some policies in place, a couple of deny rules, some allows with profiles attached to those rules. As you can see here, there are, again from previous videos, there are security profiles that have been created, and there's also a security profile group that includes the profiles that were created. Okay, so when you see the shield on the policies, that means when you see the shield or this file, um, that means that uh, a security group is applied to that policy, and the group contains those various individual profiles. So again, we're going to generate some traffic without security policies, and let's see what we get. So first things first, let's see if anything is logging. And forgive my sniffles, guys. I have a little bit of the sniffles today, um, so we're going to jump over here. We're going to run our clear logs script. Press enter to close the window. So that'll clear our logs just to make it easier to see see new traffic. Okay, so we'll open up a new browser. We're going to type in http://www.hacker9.com. So once this page load, let's refresh it. Page doesn't want to seem to load. Want to load. Let's try it again, or not load completely at least. Anyway, hacker9.com. Okay. So the point of this demonstration is just to show that we can reach the page. Okay. Now let's go to our next site, http://hidester.com proxy. And again, this page, let's see, hidester.com/proxy. This page, both of these pages should belong to URL categories, which is interesting that this page, hidester.com/proxy. Let's see if we clear um, let's see if we clear the cookies, if that'll help. Because sometimes clearing your cookies, sometimes it'll be a cache or cookie issue. Can't reach a site, but who knows? Worth a try. Anyway, that site might actually be down. Um, let's try this one. HTTPS drill.com /best proxy server. Interesting. So some of our sites aren't working, but it's not the end of the world. As in life, you just adjust. So, so in general, the whole purpose of trying to reach those sites was to show that we could reach them. We could reach sites that are part of a malicious list um, when there's not a security profile in place or security policy in place. So, and actually, guys, give me 1 second here. I committed a file this morning, and I want to see which could be the case. If that's part of the reason. And to be honest, the issue may be the file that um, the saved config may have added a policy, which is possible, that is already blocking those sites. And because I removed cookies and deleted the cache, it logged me out, which is fine. So still can't reach the sites. I wonder, let's do, let's filter on deny traffic. So let's do action not equal to um, allow, which in other words is saying, show me what's being blocked. So we have some NTP traffic that's being blocked. So the firewall isn't blocking any of the traffic to those sites. So it's not firewall related. But again, we can move forward. We'll let that deter us. So, and I wonder, let's check their hit count. So there's no hits on these denies, which again, we validate that in the monitor logs and the traffic logs. But I was just curious to see. Okay. So in this one, we're going to block some, we're going to create some policies that are going to block um, malicious traffic anyway. So anyway, hopefully this test will work out and you guys can see how it works. So first thing we're going to do is we need to see our URL category. So we're going to go to columns. We're going to click URL category, and that way we can see our URL categories. Okay. Let's adjust this as well. Adjust these columns so we can see more of what's contained in the rules. Okay. So let's add a new rule. And we're going to name this block bad URLs. Add a description. Blocks, not blokes. URLs based on categories. And again, this is best practice. I always love to add a description, even in, at work, in production. I love adding description. I've worked in environments, prod environments, non-prod environments, dev environments, uh, where in prod it was kind of, it was more, um, it was more normal and more standard to add descriptions, but in dev environments, it's not. So it just depends on your environment and where you're working. But yeah, just depends. So this is going to be a rule that's from usersnet to the internet. We're going to go to application. And now this is where we're going to add our URL categories. So not applications, I'm sorry, service and URL category. So I'm going to start typing adult, command, and control, extremist, high risk, malware, identity, parked, peer-to-peer, phishing, proxy, questionable. All right. So next we're going to go over to our actions, and we want to deny access from the user's net to those categories. So we've created our rule here, block bad URLs. Okay. We're going to move this rule. We're going to click it to highlight it. Click our move button. Move that to the top. Click commit. Let's open a new private window. I wonder if I can reach the previous sites. HTTPS hacker9.com. We proved that we could reach hacker9, but we just couldn't reach the other site. What was it? Hadster. And to be honest, these sites may not exist anymore. It's possible. It is possible. So we've committed our rule. Let's verify that it committed successfully, which we can see it has. This is an app dependency rule that we have in place, or an app rule that we have in place. So now let's test to see again. Now that connection you'll see to hacker9 has failed. So the firewall is actually blocking this hacker9 site because it matches the URL category that we added to the policy. So let's try this site again. HTTP Hadster.com proxy. And again, I wish that site was working so I could demonstrate what it looks like when it's being blocked, but I guess we just saw that with the hacker site. Let's jump over to our traffic logs, clear our filter, all right? Actually, since it's blocking on the URL category, we can jump over to URL filtering. Let's expand these columns out. Excuse me. And we can see categories, category list, hacking, hacker 9, from two zones, right? From zone, from usernet to the internet. You see the destination, block URL. So, and again, if the other sites were working, let's see if we can test out another site. Let's do, excuse me for 1 second, guys. Oh my goodness. Popular hacker sites. It may not even give us the search results, which I imagine. So anyway, essentially, that's how we test URL categories. And not to belabor the point, but um, once we create a policy rule to block traffic to those known sites or known categories, the firewall will begin to, um, you know, begin to block those sites and act on sites that fit those categories. So next, we're going to block access to inappropriate web content using a security profile. So we're going to go to Objects. We're going to go to URL Filtering. We're going to create a profile. Okay, so the description is going to be company URL, URL filtering. Click the drop down arrow for site access. Set all actions to alert. Okay. Next, we're going to configure the following on the category. So we're already here at the category. And we're going to click block. We're going to block on the following categories for site access. So we're going to block adult, block command and control, block copyright. We want to block extremism. Hacking high risk. Malware. Peer-to-peer phishing. Proxy avoidance. I'll block that. Questionable and unknown. Maybe our last two. Questionable and unknown. Okay. So next we're going to add the URL profile to a group, to the corporate URL filtering, to a profiles group. So we're going to go here to our group, go here. We're going to disable our rule here. Click commit. And the reason why we're disabling the rule is because once we've added that URL category, that the one we just created, the URL, once we added the corporate URL profile, once we added that to our security profile group, we don't need this specific rule anymore, right? Because now, because of the group, the security group is applied to all these rules, now that new URL, that new security profile will be applied. So essentially what we did is we shortcutted, instead of having to create these long drawn out rules, right, where you have to add each category, you just create the profile, add the profile to a pre-existing group, and then it applies to all the rules. So it's just a shortcut way of, it's not even a shortcut, it's a more efficient way. Shortcut, more efficient. Either way, it's just a better way to apply that profile to a policy. So now we're going to go back over to our private window. New private window. And we're going to type in, we're going to see if we can reach HTTP www.nbcnews.com. Okay, so notice we can reach this site. Okay, let's jump back over to our firewall. We'll do objects. We're going to do custom objects, URL category. Cancel this. And we're going to write a new category, a custom category. So block per company policy URLs that are blocked by company policy. And we're going to add this a wildcard symbol, the asterisk. So anything that comes before, essentially a wildcard means anything that comes before, or you can use a wildcard after. So if I were to type nbcnews.com and then a wildcard, that means any subcategory of that same site as well. So nbcnews.com. Let's add an S there. There we go. nbcnews.com. And we're going to block also the Guardian. The Guardian.com. Okay. We'll click OK. That's our custom object. Now we're going to jump back over to our policy. We're going to go to our disabled rule. And we're going to add those news sites to our policy. You'll see custom right here, just pre-populated. Okay. Add that. Click OK. Now we're going to enable the rule and hit commit. Once that completes, once that commit is complete, we're going to test our access to the site. As you can see, the site's still up. So let's do www.nbcnews.com, and we're still able to reach it. nbcnews.com. Let's jump back over to our firewall. Let's check our custom URL category. Cancel that. nbcnews.com. Guardian.com. Okay. It's interesting. Let's try the Guardian. www.theguardian.com. Okay, so the Guardian is being blocked. And www.nbcnews.com. Interesting. Hmm. .nbcnews.com. Okay. Let's jump over to the policy. We know the Guardian's working. We know that there's a deny action there. Click more. So open up our URL category section. Block per company policy, so we know that's there. Jump over to our logs. Span this out. We see blocks. Jump back over. That's interesting. I'd make this video a little longer to figure out why it's behaving that way, but um, jump back over to our logs. Let's filter on action equal to block URL. So that's interesting. So it's saying that it's blocking it while not blocking it. www.nbcnews.com. Yeah. So as we can see, we can reach the website, but the firewall, the logs are showing us that that site is being blocked. That's an interesting behavior. Hmm. All right, so let's move on to the next one. I don't want to make this video too long, but that's interesting. So next, we're going to add a custom URL category to URL filtering profile. So let's go to our URL filtering profile. Custom URL. And let's do this. Let's do this. Set that to block. There we go. Okay. So we're going to set that to block. Jump back over to our policies. Or disable our block rule. Commit. Once that is done committing, go back to our private window. And let's see NBCnews.com. Oh, now it's blocking it. Interesting. Let's try the Guardian. www.theguardian. All right, next we're going to create an EDL, which is an external dynamic list, to block malicious URL access. Okay, so we're going to jump over to our objects. We're going to scroll down to EDLs. We're going to click Add. malicious URLs, EL, list of malicious URLs maintained on extranet server. This is going to be 192.168.50, which is our extranet server address. Malicious URLs text. And we're going to do this every 5 minutes. Check for an update, and let's test the source. URL access error. Okay. So let's double check our address. 80 malicious URLs.txt. HTTP 192.168.50.80 malicious URLs.txt. Huh. Let's finish the walkthrough and see. Is accessible. So it should be accessible, and it's not. Malicious URLs EDL, URL list. Click OK. So that URL I can reach. So back over to our policies. So it's our URL category. We're going to add the malicious URLs EDL. Going to enable our rule. Click commit. Hmm. Now let's test the traffic to see if we can reach the application is blocked. So that is working. Jump back over to our monitor logs. Clear these filters. We'll see pop URLs right here, but let's filter on the action. Let's go here, hit enter. Since we want to filter on our block URLs, we can just go over and click the link and it'll pre-populate the filter. Then we can just hit enter. It does the work for us instead of sitting there typing. And we can see here, it's hitting malicious URLs. You can see where Guardian previously hit. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Yeah. So thank you everyone for your time. Really appreciate you joining me today. Hopefully this was informative and you learned something. And I will see you guys in the next video.